Okay, so for my book project, I read Alice in Wonderland, and it was actually really book for kind of being a children's book per se. It starts out with Alice and her sister, and her sister is trying to get her to read and stuff. So Alice, of course, gets bored with that, being a little kid, and she thinks that she finds a white rabbit wearing a waistcoat and that has a pocket watch. So she decides to follow the rabbit, and when she does, she falls down the rabbit hole, and she gets caught into this room that's full of doors, and she goes to the lowest door, which the book said was about 10 inches tall. The rabbit went through it, and she tries to get in, but she's too big. And so she finds this little vial of like potion. She drinks it and she shrinks down to the size of the door. The door's locked and the key is like up on this table, and of course she's too short to reach it. So then she finds this little cake that says "eat me," and she eats it, and she starts getting bigger. And when she's big enough to reach the key, she doesn't stop growing, and she grows to be like 9 feet tall. And she starts like freaking out and crying, and she cries so much that her tears flood the room that they're in, that she's in, and she doesn't realize that there's a ton of birds and a mouse in there with her. So they like all start drowning, and she realizes that she's actually getting smaller as she's crying. So when she shrinks down to the itty bitty size that she was, she like starts like drowning and stuff, and she eventually the room floods out. You know, she has a key and stuff, and she unlocks the door so they flood the room out. But then all the birds can't like fly or anything because they're all wet, so they have to find a way to dry them off. And they start by trying to tell stories, but they realize that's not going to help, so they start running this marathon that they do in Wonderland, and it's like never ending or something. But eventually they get dried off, and everybody goes on their way. And Alice starts walking through Wonderland, and she comes across the White Rabbit again. And the White Rabbit starts calling her Mary Ann, which meant servant girl in the Victorian age, which is when this takes place. And so she thinks that she's supposed to be the servant, and she goes and does what the rabbit tells her. But when she's in this house, because of the rabbit told her to go find these white gloves, so she's in this house trying to find these white gloves. She finds another eat me cake. So she eats it, and she gets way too big for the house, and she gets stuck. And the rabbit and his friend Bill the lizard try to figure out what's wrong. And Bill gets like really scared and like runs away and stuff. But then she starts shrinking down again, and the rabbit tells her to go away, so she does. And she walks, and then she finds caterpillar smoking hookah, you know. So he starts asking her all these questions, and it gets her really, really confused. And so yeah, after that she is thinking about all these questions she was asked by the caterpillar. And so she's walking, and she eventually runs into this house, and there's two men, servant men. It's like a fish and a frog, and they have legs. So this gets her curious. She goes into the house, and she finds this duchess, and the duchess is portrayed as like really masculine, and, you know, kind of not very feminine. And so she has a baby. She tells Alice to take the baby, and so she does. Well, first the duchess gets mad at her and stuff, and she's yelling at the baby and stuff. So this upsets Alice, and the Duchess tells her that if she wants the baby, that she can have the baby. And so Alice takes it, and she realizes it's like a really ugly baby. And as she's walking along, she realizes it's not a baby at all, but it's pig. And as soon as she realizes it, the Cheshire cat comes in, and he tries to help her, which he really doesn't at all. And so they're talking and stuff, and then he tells her to go to the Red Queen, the Queen of Hearts. And she does, and she meets the Queen, and the Queen really, really likes her. So she tells her to play croquet, and they play croquet with flamingos and hedgehogs. And while they're playing croquet, the Duchess comes back, and the Queen's mad at her for something. And nobody knows what, but they think that she stole the tarts. Same fine. But, anyway, so they arrest the Duchess, and then the Queen takes Alice to her griffin, and tells the griffin to take her to the Mock Turtle. The Mock Turtle is like this, like, cow turtle thing. It's really weird. And he's super depressed and stuff, and him and the griffin tell Alice all these stories. And that gets Alice wondering more things. And eventually the griffin takes her back to the Red Queen's court and stuff. And when they're at the court, they're actually in, like, a court, like, with the judge and stuff. Because somebody stole the Queen's tarts, and they have to figure out what it is. And at this point, Alice wants to go home. She doesn't know what's up, and things just get really crazy from there. So you're gonna have to read and figure out what happens to Alice.